Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Still ready.
Still ready.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Station Break podcast. I'm your host, Cassidy Quinn. We are recording this from Studio 30 at KGW News in Portland, Oregon. Every Friday, we give you an interview with someone at KGW in the TV world, get a behind-the-scenes look, and learn all kinds of things. Today, we have our digital managing editor, also an executive producer of this podcast, and is in charge of mostly making it function because sometimes I can prevent that from happening. This is Jeff Thompson.
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Jeff is very important, makes a lot of things work on the internet, and that also means or includes sometimes live streams of breaking news on our website. So, Jeff, you want to explain what's going on now in case you do have to change something while we're chatting?
Yeah, if I look a little nervous, it's because I've got 3 different live stream sources going on right now, and I'm trying to monitor them for a live event that's supposed to be going on all day. And we're in the studio where I usually do that. That's also where we film the podcast, so we decided to put it on autopilot for a little while and do the podcast, and I'll just have to keep an eye on it. So we'll see how it goes. I can see it looks good right there, but I hear there's no audio, so someone might come in here and tell us about that, but we'll find out.
Well, hopefully there's audio on this podcast.
There is. I also am checking the level, and in fact, right there when I said there is, it was really loud. So I'm going to turn me down a little bit. I tend to speak loudly in declarative sentences.
That is very good. You should be an anchor instead. No, because you're too good at what you do. Everything would fail. So what does a digital managing editor actually mean?
So that's a good question. I get that question from a lot of people, and I think I probably give a different answer every time. But I sort of have to make sure that our digital platforms are running smoothly. That means the desktop, that means mobile web, it means the mobile apps. Those are our platforms, and then we also have social platforms, mostly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook becoming more and more important by the day. So I sort of just make sure that we're using the right KGW editorial judgment on all those platforms and make sure our content looks as good as possible when I can.
How long have you been at KGW?
5.5 years.
Nice.
Yes, not bad. So my name was on a list on a screen at the last meeting. Happy anniversary.
Whoa, did you get anything special?
No.
One of my friends just celebrated her 5-year anniversary at a company in Portland, and you get to choose a gift out of a catalog. And so she got a waffle iron.
Oh, that's really nice. I wish I had gotten one of those.
Someone send Jeff a waffle iron.
If you could send me a waffle iron, KGW Studios. I already have one, but the one you send me would be better.
Yeah.
So do that.
Think of all the waffles we could be eating right now. It is brunch time.
It is. I'm getting hungry.
Me too. We always end up talking about food on this podcast, and it's always when I'm hungry. Let's talk about this podcast being doomed. What?
Let's talk a little bit about that.
This week specifically?
Yes, your 11th podcast. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
But this thing was basically doomed because you kept trying to do it, and it wasn't working, and yesterday we had live breaking news. Uh-oh, the breaking news stream looked like it stopped. Never mind, it's fine. So yesterday we had live breaking news, and
well, Wednesday night we were supposed to record it with one of our photographers. And so I've been tweeting, send us questions. We're having our first photographer on the podcast. Then, we were about to record it. There was live breaking news. So we didn't want to get in the way of that. And then, we'll do it Thursday morning. That did not work. And I want to say I did want to have you on the podcast. I don't want you to feel like, Cassidy, you just picked me because everybody else couldn't do it. No, I wanted to have you on the podcast.
Okay.
It just happened that you end up being the next one to get asked this week. So thank you for agreeing to it.
Of course.
I think you might have just felt bad and I feel bad if she doesn't have a podcast, so I'll do it.
Well, we do have to have podcasts. I'm really excited about that. I mean, that's another way for us to sort of branch out and reach new platforms. And these podcasts are video, audio, they go on iTunes, they go on SoundCloud, and I think they're pretty important. It's important to just reach out. And it's another behind the scenes look. So I think it's important.
Speaking of behind the scenes, does your day have an average schedule, or is it more what's happening today, fighting, putting out fires, fixing things?
It's a little of both. I come in and I try to get a grip of what's going on around the newsroom. I try to sort of gather up a list to give to the people that are on the digital team, and I sort of hand it to them, and then I know that all those things are in good hands, and Then I start troubleshooting and plugging holes, and there are always technical problems that sidetrack me. So I spend a lot of the day. I mean, I'd love to be writing all day and creating content, but I spend a lot of the day just, like you said, putting out fires, plugging in holes, and trying to make sure everything's working smoothly.
Do you, when people come up to your desk and they say, "Oh, Jeff, this isn't working," or this, are you just interrupted in whatever productive thing you were trying to do? Because that's what I always see happen, including me. Just be like, "Hey, this doesn't, it's a little thing, I'll just ask him about that." And then, oh, that was probably just added to his list of 25 things that aren't working.
I'm totally used to it. So I've actually started finally writing things down on a notepad. I just started that a couple months ago. I used to think I could hold on to it all, but I'm getting old now. I'm 41 years old. And my memory is not what it used to be. So I've just recently started jotting everything down on a notepad to make sure that I have it all somewhere. So interrupt me all you want, because I know in a newsroom things are moving so fast. I have to be able to switch tasks. So.
Now, are you writing it down on a physical notepad or a digital version, because you are very digital?
No, that's what I mean. I mean, I had a digital notepad for a long time, but now I have to actually write it down on here. So it's
two different colors of ink, too.
That's right. So that's how I keep track of stuff. So, we're live streaming Maggie now, getting ready for a live hit.
Looks great. Yellow jacket, standing out there.
She looks great.
She does. Oh, there she goes.
Good. Okay. That's
live stream is still functioning. Right. What kinds of random non-news related jobs did you have before you got into this?
I started off at Long John Silver's, the fish place.
Oh.
Yeah, so I started there when I was 17. I worked there for maybe a year and a half. And then I started traveling after that and hitchhiking and doing dumb 20-year-old hippie stuff. So, anyway, so that job, I was a crew leader in charge of the kitchen at Long John Silver's. So,
any favorite places that you traveled during your, what did you say, dumb hippie?
Dumb hippie, well,
I love hippies, if anybody's listening.
Yeah, well, it was just I was being dumb. But I traveled mostly down south and then over to California, and I stayed there for a while, and I actually loved it. I lived in San Jose and worked in Sunnyvale for a couple months, and that was a good time. I was following the Dead until Jerry Garcia died in 95, and then I followed Ffej after that. And so there was, I mean, I have a special place in my heart for somewhere my friend was going to school in Arkansas, a tiny town called Siloam Springs. Which it's not a great town. I just spent a lot of time with him there and had a great time, and we were sort of free and 20 years old and made a lot of friends and had some crazy times there, so I liked that. But it's hard to look back on all that and think about my favorite place when I just got back from Panama. So Panama's better than Siloam Springs, Arkansas, I've got to say.
What was Panama like?
It was hot, but it was beautiful. It was, we had a house for 3 couples. We rented a house with a dock right outside into the Caribbean. So we could wake up in the morning, go jump in the water, get ourselves ready, and get a water taxi to wherever we wanted to go around the islands, and it was beautiful.
You could use a water taxi to get around Portland today, probably. I'm just sitting hearing about Panama, and it's pouring rain outside.
I know. When I came back, it was still sunny here, and it was relatively nice here, but that went away quickly.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing us the sunshine for a couple of days.
I do what I can. Right there at the end of my trip to Panama, I got bit by either one very angry thing that bit me 15 times or 15 kind of angry things. I couldn't tell. But we were in this sort of jungle area, and I suddenly had 12 or 15 bites on my leg. And that was on a Wednesday, and it seemed okay. By the time Friday rolled around, they had sort of almost all grown together, and my foot was starting to swell up. So I had to go to a clinic in Panama and
oh my gosh,
get some antibiotic shots in the tuchus. And
that sounds pleasant.
My Spanish isn't that great either. So I had to Google a doctor who speaks really good English, so there was no miscommunication.
Do they have Yelp reviews of doctors in Panama?
They did.
Oh.
Yeah, and she was great. And I wish I remembered her name right now. I don't, but
5 stars.
she was a lovely lady. And since I'm the one who will be sort of publishing the video version of this, I can... Uh-oh.
We're getting a note.
I cannot turn down Maggie audio.
Okay. We're back.
I want a hard cut on that. I want to make it obvious that we work so hard here that we had to just stop production and take care of something.
Yeah. That's how important you are. And how important this little room is.
That's how important we are.
Yes.
We needed your help too when we stopped just then.
Yeah.
And thank you.
I did a lot. Made that live stream totally work without me.
That's right. So in 3 minutes, I have to remember to switch 2 sources to Studio 4. Can you help me remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
I'll try. So, have you ever been fired from a job?
Do you know what? I was doing some research today, and I heard you ask...
On your own resume?
No, on a podcast. So I heard you ask
Had to refresh
Travis
my
that.
memory of what I've done in my life.
No, I heard your podcast with Travis. So I was prepared for this.
Oh.
A little bit. I've never been fired from a job, but I had a job in radio, my first job in radio. Worked for a large corporation, and I was laid off. And I'm still a little bit bitter about it because there was a larger-than-life radio personality that also worked for that company. And after this person got a $500 million contract extension, 3,000 people were laid off. So I'm still a little bitter about it. I'm not going to name any names, but so I've been laid off. That was it. I've never been fired. No.
Well, I'm sorry for bringing up the sore subject
no, it's okay.
for you.
I expected it. I didn't mean to sound as bitter as I did. I was ready to say it, and then when I started saying it out loud, it sounded like I was bitter. But if I hadn't been laid off from there, I wouldn't be working here.
Yeah.
And actually, while I was there, I had a goal of working at KGW someday. So.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm happy to be here.
When you worked in radio, you also anchored on the radio, right? And reported. What did you think of being on the other side? Do you want to do on-air stuff now too? Oh, hello.
Maybe we just put on the helicopter for a while until the new news. I'm sorry, just because now we got Pat doing, he's going blah, blah, blah.
Doesn't it
blah,
start
blah,
in
blah,
1 minute?
singing. Yeah, just go.
Okay,
and
okay.
Just,
I will.
We got
I will.
anchors.
Okay.
After the noon thing, we can just go back to the helicopter.
Okay.
That's a good static thing.
Sounds good.
Sorry.
Thanks.
It's all right. I say we just leave that part in.
That's Greg. You remember him from a previous episode of the podcast.
That's my boss. That's why he went on a podcast before I did. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, he's a great guy. He's a great boss. And if he listens to this, thanks for all you do, buddy.
We love you. I think he does listen to a lot of these while he goes running or walking. But he has told me his secret is that he listens at double speed to most podcasts that he listens to. So it goes faster. And I listened to one in 1.5 speed the other day. It was weird.
It is weird. Basically, the only other podcast I listen to is Coffee Break Spanish. I was getting ready for my trip to Panama, so I listened to 30 episodes of that. Then when I got to Panama, my Spanish got a little bit better. And so now that I'm back, I can actually listen to that one at 1.5 speed and understand what they're saying in Spanish. And it's pretty cool. It makes you feel like your brain is working faster or something, doesn't it? When you listen at 1.5?
I guess so, but it's funny because when I did it, I kept thinking, or I kept forgetting that I was listening to it at 1.5, and I was like, why are they talking so fast? Like, they're not pausing in between any of their sentences. It's just weird. And then I remembered, oh, that's my fault.
Yeah, I think my whole reality is kind of skewed when I listen to it at 1.5. I was listening to it like driving down I-5, and I was like, wait a minute, am I driving fast? I don't know what's happening.
Oh, you're driving at double the speed limit?
Exactly. So, while we're talking, I'm going to pot up Studio 4 just so I can tell what's going on with it. You can ask me a question. Let's see if I can multitask.
Well, so you used to be on air on the radio.
Uh-huh.
Did you want to be on air on TV? Did you like being on air?
I didn't, I wouldn't have minded being on air on TV, but, I didn't have. Let me start over. I loved being on the air. To answer the question in order, I loved being on the air in radio because it was just basically me in a dark room and picking the news and talking loud and talking in my radio voice, and it was mostly overnight shifts, and I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go on the air on TV or not. I enjoyed watching KGW, and I started to follow their digital platforms a long time ago, and so I just knew I wanted to work here. I liked the sort of editorial judgment of KGW over other stations, and so I wanted to work here. And if they'd told me that I'd be on air, that would have been fine. If they told me to sit at a desk and go crazy working on all these digital things, that was fine too. So,
have you always been a very digital-minded person?
No, I've always been a troubleshooter though. I've always been, it's a lot of it is trial and error. I just don't give up. If there's a problem, I don't give up until I find the solution. So a lot of what we do are workarounds, and most of those were just me banging my head against something until finally I got through. And so I think I've always been that way. But, you know, these digital frontiers are sort of new to everybody now. So I just have to, you know, that idea of troubleshooting until you get it fixed will translate to whatever new tools I end up using.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Another job that you had before news, you were a taxi driver.
I was a taxi driver here in Portland, yes.
Which is so cool. How long did you do that for?
I did it for 3.5 years.
Do you have a good sense of direction? Because I would fail as a taxi driver.
I don't. In fact, I really don't. I sort of had to, I had to memorize like the 100 blocks. Like, you know, Fremont is a 3,500 block, for example, and Alberta's a 5,000, and Ainsworth is 6,000. I had to sort of memorize that stuff because I'm not that good with directions at orienting myself. So I sort of had to memorize so I could tell if I was going east or west by using numbers sometimes. And I think enough time has passed now that I could admit this, but I moved here in 2004 and I needed a job. And a friend of mine introduced me to a superintendent at Radio Cab, and my friend said, just tell him you know where you're going. And I had been here for maybe 3 weeks. And so the superintendent asked if I knew where I was going, and I said, oh yeah, I know Portland. I've been here a while. And
3 weeks, a while, same thing.
I was able to answer the one question he asked about, you know, how would you take me from here to, you know, Burnside and 122nd? And I just happened to know the answer to that, so I told him, and then I had to answer a trivia question. Oh. It was weird. And buy him a bottle of bourbon, and then I got a job. I didn't say which cab company, did I?
You did.
Oh, that's all right. It's all right. I've moved on to bigger and better things now, and it's not me that's going to ruin them. It's Uber. So. Mm-hmm.
Do you still have, after doing that job, now that, when you stopped that job almost 10 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. Do you still have a better sense of direction now, or?
My sense of direction isn't...
In Portland, at least.
Yeah, my sense of direction still isn't that great, but now I know Portland really well. I think I know it as well as a lot of native Portlanders because I had to sort of connect the dots throughout the whole city and find shortcuts everywhere. One thing I did when I first got the job was I was just honest with everybody. And someone would get in the cab and say where they were going. Even if I knew which way I would take them, that might not be how they wanted to go. So anybody who got in my cab, I would say, this is the way I'd like to go. Tell me if you'd like to go another way and we'll go that way. Or if I didn't know where I was going, I'd say, I'm turning off the meter. I'm going to look at the map and figure out how to get there. If you know a better way, let me know, but I'm definitely not going to charge you for this. I'm going to figure it out. And people in Portland were really, really welcoming. If I would have tried to do that in my hometown, in Illinois, it wouldn't have worked. I probably would have gotten beat up quite a few times. But in Portland, people were really nice about it, and eventually I figured out where I was going and tried to get people there, you know, quickly and for very little money, and that worked out well for me, you know.
That's good that you were honest with that.
Yeah.
When I lived in Boston, some of the taxi drivers would be horrible. One time I missed a flight because the taxi driver, I wasn't paying attention. It was a work flight, and I was trying to figure out, you know, I think I was probably doing emails on my phone in the taxi. And then next thing I know, he's taking me like this horrible way. I missed my flight because he went such a wrong way. It should have been a 20-minute drive to the airport. It was like an hour. And then, Yeah, missed my flight. It was great. But they're not honest about it. They're like, oh, which way do you want to go? Okay, well, I'm going to go this way. That doesn't make any sense. And we're going to go all around the whole town.
I think I'd had enough of those trips that by the time I was a cab driver, I just tried to treat customers the way I'd want to be treated. And there was one time when these people wanted to get from their downtown Portland hotel to I think it's called the Avalon on Southwest Macadam. And if you haven't gone from downtown Portland to Southwest Macadam, it's hard to figure out which way to go. Mm-hmm. And it took me 45 minutes to get them to their hotel because I kept looking at my map and it wasn't working. I didn't charge them, and I was really apologetic. And I still feel bad about taking that long, but I told them the whole time. They were right there with me, looking at my map with me and saying, yeah, it looks like this should be the way. And it just took forever, and hopefully they've forgiven me.
Did you make actual friends with any of those people? Like you're bonding in the taxi and then, hey, let's hang out sometime, since you were new in town? No.
No, there are some things I just can't even talk about, but.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Well, moving on from that.
No. I'll just say no.
We're having this live stream go on. Now we're streaming the noon newscast. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we've newscasts at noon, we've newscasts in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 7 o'clock. How could I forget that one? But news in the world doesn't necessarily follow the times of the newscast. Like today, you're live streaming an hour or two before the newscast happens. So how is that different?
And after the newscast, we'll be live streaming too.
Like the other day, I think right after the 6 o'clock show ended, something happened in the wildlife refuge standoff in Burns, and it's like, well, the news is over, but so how does that work on the website if the newscast is over? But where do you guys go?
Well, we'll use that as an example. Obviously, we update the website and the mobile app. We send out a push alert so people know that there's something going on and they can visit. They can read the article in the mobile app. Then we also have to use, as our sort of tertiary platforms, we have to use Twitter and Facebook to keep people updated too. And we do that 24 hours a day, basically. I mean, if something big happens at 1 o'clock in the morning, somebody can call me and I'll get up and I'll do the same thing. And in that case, there was a YouTuber, there was a sort of a right-wing YouTube radio host, internet radio host, who was streaming for 7 hours. And a lot of our information was coming from that guy. And he was talking to people inside of the camp, and it was just a really hectic scene. So we listened to that to see what they were saying, and we take what we can from police, what the FBI's interpretation of what was going on, and we just try to put that all together and send it to people. One big difference in digital news that I've noticed is that even when I started here, we were trying to get people to come to us for news. Now that's not the case anymore. Now our main goal is to take the news to you, take the news to people where they are. And so we have to be willing to do that. TV can't do that quite as well. So we take the resources from everybody on TV, you included, and we utilize those. We have people sharing on social media, and then we in turn share that, and we're just constantly moving. And if something happens at 9 o'clock, then like you said, our sunrise newscast is over. We're not going to report again until noon, so we have to do everything we can to just take the news to people while it's happening. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely. That was a very good answer.
Probably, but...
No, my question was long-winded as well. Did you work on the digital side in radio as well, or more just on the reporting side?
The funny thing about that is that when I started in radio, the website was a thing nobody wanted to do. They wanted to do their radio reports or anchor, and they didn't want to. They'd write several different scripts a day for the same story, but they did not want to write AP style and I mean, everything was all caps when they wrote their scripts, and they didn't want to, at the end of the day, just rewrite it and make it publishable. So I got the job of doing that. And all the reporters were like, yeah, that's the intern. We'll just make him do it. And so I started publishing all the web stories for that radio station and started sort of maintaining their website by default because no one else wanted to do it. And so once I left there, I had exactly the skill set I needed to start here as a digital producer. So it was great. If I hadn't done that there, I don't know that I would have gotten the job here. And the only reason I did it there was because no one else wanted to. So I kind of got lucky.
Do you think the digital for TV versus radio are a lot different from each other?
The big difference
I'm
is
sure
that,
things have changed in the 5.5 years you've been at KGW.
Yes.
Either way, but
Yes, the big difference is that we have so many video elements available, just because that's what we do is video.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition to stories, external links, and images, we have video. By default, we have video, because we have all these newscasts. Now we have reporters shooting video while they're out, even going to their stories. On radio stations, they don't have that extra video element, so there's really, other than podcasts, there's not sort of an appetite for taking clips of a radio show and putting it online the way there is with TV. There's definitely an appetite for short clips of our stuff that we've already got, so we just reproduce that, and I think that's the main difference. There are other differences I've noticed. It seems like, in my opinion, it seems like radio is a little bit behind, and I think maybe that's because of the video elements. Mm-hmm. But of course, I'm going back to look at the radio station I used to work for and sort of revel in the fact that they're behind now. I sound bitter again, I know, but...
No, not at all. Okay, now we're going to go way back to the high school days.
Okay.
You actually met your wife in high school?
I did.
That's so adorable.
Yes. Yeah, so we were at Auburn High School, Rockford, Illinois, and my girlfriend actually introduced me to Jenny, my wife. I had seen her around, and she was just... she was really cute, and I sort of thought she was too cool for me.
Oh.
For a long time. She was a jaded sophomore who already, hated high school and was wearing rock and roll t-shirts and stuff. And anyway, I had a big crush on her, and I just figured I'd never meet her. And then my girlfriend introduced me to her and planted a seed that would sort of come to fruition many years later. We didn't get together back then, but we stayed in touch. She moved to Portland, and I stayed in our hometown, and eventually I ended up moving to Portland to be with her.
Wow.
There's a lot more to it, but...
Simple as that.
Yeah.
As we lead up to Valentine's Day, it's that easy to find your wife.
Just be obsessed with her for 15 years and keep knocking on her door. Eventually it'll work.
This took a turn.
I know.
That is horrible Valentine's Day advice.
She would come back to see me all the time, and finally I decided rather than ask her to move back to that poor little hometown of mine, I would come visit her here. I fell in love with Portland the first time I visited. I went to wine country and went in a glider.
Ooh.
And it was, 75 degrees in October, so I didn't see the rain until after I packed up my bags and moved here.
That's how it works, the bait and switch.
But I loved it when I first visited and just decided my hometown could stay where it is, and I was going to move on.
You didn't want to move the hometown with you.
No, I don't know what I was getting at there, but that's exactly right. I just decided, it'll still be there when I go visit my family. I have a lot of family there, and she does too. So, so we can knock all that out in one visit, my family and hers. That's kind of nice.
That is handy. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have exciting Valentine's Day plans? Since this is the Valentine's Day edition of Station Break.
Well, we are...
For 1 minute.
My son's birthday is today. He turned 6.
Happy birthday!
Our son, yes, Emmett's birthday is today. So he turned 6.
I love Emmett.
And I do too. And we're having we're having a birthday party for him at Chuck E. Cheese tomorrow morning.
Yes.
So his sister came in.
The former workplace of multiple KGW or past KGW and present
Reggie.
KGW. Yeah. And Russ Lewis.
Russ Lewis.
Yeah, it's like somebody else said it on the podcast. The first guest.
And this is going to be the first time I've gone to Chuck E. Cheese as an adult. I remember going back in the 80s as a kid, and I haven't been in as an adult, so we'll see how it goes with 15 kids running around.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I found out that adults can only have 2 beers each while they're there, so I hope I can cope.
They really, wow.
That's what they said.
That's so funny. I guess it makes sense, but it's just funny that they really think about that.
It's 10 in the morning, though, so if 2 beers aren't enough to get through it at 10 in the morning, then I will admit I have a problem. I think, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Is there a limit on Bloody Marys?
You can't see me,
They
but
probably don't have those.
I just did a really excited face for those of you who are listening. I just
It's still brunch time.
that was a breakthrough. Cassidy just blew my mind, but I don't know if they have vodka.
Yeah, probably not at Chuck
I'll
E.
let you
Cheese.
know.
I hope not.
And then after that, Jenny and I are actually going to Noble Rot. Have you been there? Mm-mm. Heard great things about Noble Rot, so we have a reservation to go there for dinner. And then we're going to something on Alberta Street, Kiss and Tell it's called. It's some sort of, I don't know, they've got like improvisational stories and jazz.
That sounds fun.
It does sound fun. And we can walk home from there,
Yeah,
most importantly. So we can
That's always
imbibe
good.
if we'd like.
if you would like. I have heard from someone else on our digital team that you went through a dreadlocks phase in your life.
I did.
Is that true? I would love. Is there a picture of this on the internet?
There is a picture of it on the internet. Yeah,
Yes.
there are two known pictures in existence. They're both
Until
on my-
as soon as we're done recording and he goes and hides them.
Exactly, but the internet is forever. Yes, so this is the time I spoke of before when I was following the dead and Ffej.
How long were these dreadlocks? And how long did you have them for, and did it take?
So my hair was sort of down to the middle of my back.
Yes, this just keeps getting better and better.
And then when I just let it go and sort of rolled the dreadlocks and had somebody actually like help tease them up a little bit to make them extra natty, I'd say that my hair probably, the length was cut in half. So then they were just past, shoulder length, but they were really nasty. And I only had them for less than a year. And then I got to California, and I actually got a job when I got to California, and I just shaved my head bald once I got there.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were gross. And then I looked at my dreads and broke them open to see how gross they were. And have I gone too far?
No, I'm intrigued.
Let's just say they were gross.
Did you save any of them?
I actually did save one. I had one in a cigar box, but
Someone's going to be very sad one day when they open that up, like, oh, it's a cigar. It's going to be Emmett on like his 18th
he's gonna try
birthday.
to
He's like, Dad got me a
smoke it.
cigar. Oh no.
Smoke it and he will hallucinate. Actually,
Poor Emmett.
Actually, it's
Just
I
enjoy
think
Chuck E.
it's-
Cheese tomorrow.
I think I saved it for a while, and I'm pretty sure it's gone now.
Well, my
I actually
mom
had
has my brother's old rat tail braided in a Ziploc bag somewhere. So, it's
It's
a thing that
adorable.
happens. People save locks of hair. My mom's going to kill me when she listens to this.
Oh, she won't listen. I'm trying to figure out what time it is. 12:20.
12:20. Is everything functioning? Are we
Everything's
okay?
functioning just fine.
Yes.
We're letting the news side take the yoke and drive the plane.
I hope we should not let news directors drive a plane. I mean, it could go well,
It seems okay so far.
but I'm not going to get onto the actual plane.
So I had this sort of. This is kind of a downer, but I had a big fire at my place. So when I was 28, so that dreadlock in that cigar box was probably in there.
Oh, no.
And I sort of lost everything and started over right then. But that was sort of the catalyst for me to finally admit to Jenny that I was madly in love with her and needed to be with her. So I lost the natty dread in the cigar box, but I gained love.
This needs to be a movie. Guy living in a small town, collecting dreadlocks. Dreadlock
I
lights
had
on
one
fire.
dreadlock.
Oh my gosh, revelation, I'm in love. Moves to the big city. Pretends he knows how to get places. Taxi driver.
Yep. And then I started school when I got here too. I started at Portland Community College and went to PSU. and just went to the radio station and said, hey, I want to be an intern. They said, okay. And then when I graduated, I said, hey, I need a job. And they said, okay.
Great.
It's just that easy. Just that easy, kids. Go to school.
It's easy to get your wife if you're just obsessed with her, and then easy to just get a job. I like this. This is positive.
Yeah.
Last
Positive
question
spin.
before we go to the Twitter sphere. You cannot figure out Snapchat. I guess that was more of a statement than a question. But I think you have figured it out. In the last few days, I've gotten some filtered Snapchats from you.
Yeah. It's just you have to know somebody to figure out all the tips and tricks.
It's true. I had to learn from my younger brother.
Well, I just read an article, actually. I was working from home on Tuesday and read an article that somebody shared about an assistant news director trying to break into Snapchat and just following his 13-year-old sister. And her advice is the most important thing is filters. So I read that, and then I just stared at Snapchat for 45 minutes because there's nothing there that says filters. And so
Yep.
I tried swiping every which way, and I
Well, because the
just
swiping
staring
will
at
get
it
you
didn't-
those kind of filters
this is
after
new to
you
me.
take the picture.
Oh, right. Yes.
After you take a picture, then you can swipe for the filters, but not the ones that are whatever they call those ones where you hold your finger over your face and then like the moving animated filters, whatever. I don't know.
The open your mouth filters.
Yeah. The
They say,
rainbow
"Open your
puke
mouth."
filters.
Yeah, and then suddenly there's fire all around your head. But
They're
once
scary.
I figured that out, well, once you showed me that, I
I
started
think
having
someone
a
had
lot of
already
fun with it.
beat me to it before.
I didn't want to
before
admit
I
that.
did it.
It's true. My 18-year-old niece actually beat you to it.
That's
but,
good. She should.
But I didn't want to tell you that. I wanted you to think that you actually were the breakthrough for me.
Yes, thanks.
I still haven't figured it out. The main reason I wanted to was to see if there's any way KGW News could sort of get a foot in the door, or if there's any way, any sort of news consumption we could provide in the Snapchat format that people would like, and it's kind of a tall order. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just did a Snapchat, like a fast 360 of the newsroom that said, it's the newsroom, and I don't think anybody saw it. So I think it was great, and people would have loved it. Mm-hmm. But nobody saw it, because I don't even know how to add friends on Snapchat.
Well, was it from yours or from the KGW
It
one?
was from the KGW one.
Yeah, at least that one's easy to find. You can follow them, KGW News. I Snapchat
Oh
things
yeah,
from
let's
the
use
field
this.
sometimes.
Let's use this time right now to get people to sign up for Snapchat.
KGW News, follow us on Snapchat.
See, there I go. Sign up for Snapchat. That's not even a thing anymore. People don't sign up for things anymore. They just find them and do them.
You just do it. Just do Snapchat.
Do Snapchat KGW.
KGW News.
Yep.
Now to the Twitter sphere. Peter, Journey of Life Vlogs, says, he started with
Hi,
okay. Okay. Oh, by the way, your Twitter handle is Ffej Mosh Pit. How do you say your Twitter handle?
Ffej Mosh Pit. You said it right.
Does that come from your dreadlock days?
It actually does. A friend of mine and I were sitting around doing what you tend to do when you have dreadlocks and contemplating life and the world, and he said, "Oh my God, your name backwards is Ffej Mosh Pit." And I laughed for a half hour, and then I said, "No, it's not." And then he laughed for a half hour, and then everybody started calling me that. And for some reason, I thought that when I signed up for social media early on, I wanted to retain anonymity. So I used a weird name that was a nickname from my youth. And now there are so many other Jeff Thompsons in the world that I keep it as my Twitter handle just because it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
Such a
But Mosh
boring
Pit is
name.
not Thompson backwards. They
No,
did figure that
it's-
out, right?
That's right. I
Okay.
figured it out after I laughed for whatever amount of time.
Because for a second I was like looking at it. No, that's
no,
not.
it's Nom Spot
Tip
or
Shom?
something. Nom-
Oh, what Thompson would be backwards? Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going what Mosh Pit is backwards.
I see.
Yeah, I can't think that much. I was in a spelling bee yesterday. Too many thinkings. Anyways,
Let's ask everybody else out there, can you spell adulterate?
adulterate
We'll give you 5 seconds.
and siccative.
And siccative.
Leave a comment with your answer or tweet me at Cassidy Quinn and tell me your answer. Don't Google it. Cheaters.
Don't Google it.
Anyways,
Cheaters.
Peter asked, what are
Peters.
the challenges you face when trying to cross-pollinate among so many different digital platforms? I like cross-pollinate.
I
That
like
sounds good.
cross-pollinate too, but it makes me feel a little dirty, Peter.
Whoa.
So the challenge is always that the tools are changing so rapidly that we just have to keep up. One example, when I first started here, I think less than 10% of our traffic was mobile. I think it was 6% in 2010 when I started here. And now it's up around 80% mobile, including our mobile apps and mobile web.
There's notes coming under the door.
Okay, net 6 after. Sorry to interrupt everybody, but I'm taking net 6 after the newscast.
This is fun. I feel
What
like
time is
we're
it?
in a fort.
Okay.
I thought I had heard something, but I didn't realize it was a note coming under the door.
I think net 6 is okay right now if I want to take it. Should I do it? Just so you guys know, this is a router source. I'm sort of on standby to take this router source. It's a camera we have in Seaside.
I'm waiting for the newscast to
As
end.
soon as the newscast is over, I'm supposed to take net 6, but there are 2 notes. Oh,
Stream only newscast or helicopter. Mute
audio
audio on helicopter feed.
okay. I can't mute the audio on the helicopter feed, so I'm just gonna take net 6, y'all. In fact,
Gonna take net 6, y'all. New country song coming to
All
a
right.
station near you.
Let me try to get back to it and answer.
So now you're
Peter's
up to 80% mobile.
80% mobile, yes. And surprisingly, social referrals account for the majority of our traffic now. So it's not just people coming and saying, hey, what's KGW got now? It's us sharing stories that we think you'll want to share. And Facebook is an increasingly large part of the social referrals that we need. So almost if we have a story and it's not on Facebook, people kind of don't see it. Mm-hmm. So it's keeping up with those trends. That's sort of the challenge of cross-pollinating.
And then trying to get all of everybody else at the station to keep up with the trends, right?
Exactly, yes. And we have to make sure it should just be one thing, but we have to sort of make sure that mobile web looks good, mobile app looks good, and that our desktop looks good. And those are sort of 3 different kinds of programming that we have to take care of, each a different environment, and we just have to stay on top of all 3 of them to make sure, no matter how you're getting our news, it looks good. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. I'm getting distracted by a commercial for Inside Edition with a pig on an airplane.
So
But
what
it
I
also
did,
made sense.
I think we should see up there, on that monitor, we should see it switch to a very nice shot, net 6 here.
Very nice.
So as soon as that elephant commercial is done now.
Which is also a nice shot.
Oh, this podcast was doomed from the very start.
I think it's great. This is like extra behind the scenes.
I want to explain to people who are watching, these notes came in through the bottom of the door, so we were looking down at those and talking about it. To people who are listening, that's probably even more confusing, but we're sitting on these stools, the door's closed, and there's a change I had to make to the live stream, so somebody slid 2 pieces of paper under the door, and we didn't even get up to read them. We think we read what's on there. I think I did what they asked me to do.
Something's underlined like 3 times.
So
I think we're good. We'll get another note if we ignored one of them.
Yep. I think
Read
we're
our
good.
notes.
Yeah, exactly. And did you extend the ingest of this thing past
Yes.
12:30? Good.
Yes.
Because
Thank you.
there's a lot of stuff we're keeping in, and that's after we took some stuff out.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, usually I'm interviewing somebody else on the podcast, and Jeff is double checking to make sure that the recording of the podcast doesn't stop before the podcast is over. And when you were on vacation, I believe there were 2 times
Oh, jeez.
when that got messed up because we can't survive without you.
That's very sweet of you to say.
But
I
you know, we
almost died
tried
while I
to
was
survive.
gone. I don't know what you guys would have done if that bite would have gotten worse when I was down in
Have you
Panama.
recovered?
I have recovered, yeah.
Okay,
5
good.
days of antibiotics after I came home.
Phew.
Thank God.
Lane Jensen, who I believe is a taxi driver or limo driver, possibly, says, how often does a story change as soon as you post it online?
How often does it change? Well, that's hard to say. I would say the average story probably has at least 15 different versions. especially if it's hard breaking news, if it's something you need to know now. The first iteration might only be 2 sentences. It'll be a headline, 2 sentences, and we'll let you know that we can update it more later. And then once we've got that out, we're reaching out in all different directions to get confirmation, to get updates. And as soon as we get an update, we'll add it. And as soon as we get, if there are 2 sides, we'll be getting, if the police have one impression and someone else has a different impression, we'll try to say what the other person said. But basically, a lot. The answer is a lot. There are a lot of different iterations of the story. We can go in and see how many versions of the story have been updated, and often I'll go in and see more than 20. Just because, there might even just be some typos that had to be fixed, and you'll go in to fix it and realize the story could have been written better, or there's more that hasn't been added yet. So a lot of iterations of every story, and we're trying to make sure that we get it out as fast as possible, make it accurate, provide the details you need to know, the details we would want to know, and then as we learn more, we just keep adding more. So I guess the answer is 12.
12 times, or 12 often. 12 often.
12 often, yes.
I was just looking at my phone because I realized that I forgot to put down on this paper one of the questions that came in, which is from Steele at Blue Snowy Mountains. What shows, since you work at a TV station, what shows do you watch on TV? And also, which ones do you avoid watching?
I don't have that much time. I know it says in my Twitter profile that I go home and watch TV. I don't have that much time to watch. My son watches Teen Titans Go and Pokemon, so I watch a lot of those. My wife and I,
Pokemon's still on?
Yeah.
Wow.
Brand new episodes. There are
Mind
a lot
blown.
of them. Yeah, he's really into it. We actually play the game.
Yes.
My daughter, I have a daughter who's 22, and she loved Pokemon when she was young, but we never actually played the game. She just loved buying Pokemon merchandise. My son will sit and play an hour and a half Pokemon trading card game with me now. So we watched that. My wife and I like Gotham. That one's pretty good. And I think my favorite sort of nightly show is At Midnight. I love At Midnight. And
it's on at midnight? Is that when it actually starts?
well, we have DirecTV, so it's on at 9.
Oh.
So we watch At Midnight, and what's really funny is that when I come in here in the morning, I have to follow what's trending on Twitter in Portland, and every day one of the trending hashtags came from At Midnight the night before. And so, one of the podcasts I listen to is Nerdist now and then, and I remember Chris Hardwick from the Singled Out days, so I always thought he was pretty funny. And At Midnight, he has some great guests. Some of the people that you love. Grace Helbig is on there.
She was
quite
on
often.
James Corden's show last night.
I saw that you Snapchatted that.
Oh, yes, I did Snapchat it.
I saw it, because I was on Snapchat.
Yes, thanks. Somebody saw it.
That's right.
The last question from the Twitter sphere comes from my mother, who is currently at my apartment. What were your childhood
Sorry, I'm
nicknames?
keeping her here.
Was Ffej a childhood nickname?
Childhood nicknames.
Actually, her first question was, I said, do you have any questions for Jeff? He's our digital managing editor. And she said, what is a digital managing editor? But we got that one already.
Hopefully I've addressed that.
Yes, we got that one.
Every time someone asks me, it's a different answer, and I hope that it was clear this time.
Yes, we got that one. So childhood nicknames, any good ones? Or embarrassing ones? That's what we really want.
Not really, no. My mom, when I was really young, called me Shorty.
Shouty.
Because I was short.
Aw.
I'm not that short anymore, I don't think.
Not compared to me, at
That's
least.
a boring answer.
That's cute, though.
I do know some people, well, no, I'm not going to bring other people into this. I know a couple people in my family whose nicknames are related to poop. Do you have anybody in your family whose nickname is related to poop?
Not off of the top of my head.
It's kind of weird, but there are 2 in my family. There's one that was called Pooper and another one that was called Poo Poo. A boy and a girl.
Were there,
So that's better.
there
Is that
stories
better or
behind
worse?
these? I mean,
There's
it's more
stories.
entertaining. Better
Yeah.
in that sense. Not better for... Have they gotten rid of these nicknames? Or are they
Not
still
really,
around?
no. Their family family can inflict the deepest wounds, and they continue to call them by these poop nicknames. And I mean, by now they're old enough that they're okay with it.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine they were okay with it when they were 11.
Well, it's like Grace Helbig, who we were just talking about. Her dad used to call her Stinky as a kid, and she said that like he'll still call her Stinky. So when people would come over in high school, he's like, "Oh, hey, Stinky." They're like, "Well," she's like, "I don't really smell. That's just what my dad calls me."
But why did he call her that?
I don't know. My research is lacking here.
Well, I'm not going to tell you why those people were called Pooper and Poo-Poo either.
We'll have to have them on the podcast. Finally, we have
Episode 100 and 101.
We'll get there someday. Would you rather questions that I have come up with. First one, I also asked Greg, your boss. Would you rather have the website crash and not work for an entire day, or have multiple typos in every story on the site for an entire day?
Easily, I'd rather have the website crash for the whole day because we have these social media platforms. We can still get the news out. We'd turn Facebook into a sort of a... I didn't listen to his podcast. He probably said something similar.
Yep.
But yeah, we would just turn to social media as our publishing platform. And our website, time and time again, has its share of issues. So we've had to do that before. Never for a whole day, but our publishing site has crashed before. So we've, if there's breaking news, we provide it through our mobile app push alerts and through Facebook and Twitter mostly. And Instagram if it's a lovely story with photos.
Mm-hmm. Would you rather get a last-minute call that you're going on to anchor newscast, KGW?
I want to interrupt this question to say that Cassidy just today got a last-minute
I did! I'm anchoring the 7 o'clock newscast today. I'm very exciting.
Yes.
Wasn't even a call. It was, come to my office. Let's make this happen.
Remember how we were talking about practicing the
Somebody's
7 o'clock
sick.
anchor?
I'm
Yep.
sorry you're sick, Chris Willis, but
I am too. Sorry.
we will have fun for half an hour this evening at 7 o'clock. So get that call. You have to go anchor a newscast, or last minute call that you're sent out to the Oregon coast for the day to shoot pictures of breaking news that's happening.
I'd rather go out to the coast because as far as I'm not a photographer. I'm not in the union. But as far as I know, I start getting paid from the time I leave here.
Oh,
Probably.
smart thinking.
Probably. And the coast is beautiful. And I love taking pictures of the coast on my own dime. So I would absolutely do that. And sometimes looking after a 6-year-old gets hard. So I'd use that as some me time. And Jenny'd be fine with it. Now,
Okay.
she knows I'd make up for it later, though.
Yeah, she could come with you, maybe.
Oh, well, would I still get paid if she came with me?
I mean, she just sit in the car.
So,
I don't know. I don't know how this works.
I'm not in the union
I never get
either,
sent
but
anywhere.
I'm not, as I said, I don't know the union rules, but, if I could bring my wife, then I would definitely rather choose this one.
Yeah. Okay, this one is because you have gone to a lot of
I
concerts.
feel like I've interrupted every one of these.
No, I feel like I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry. Would you rather go to a reunion concert of the Spice Girls and Backstreet Boys, or a One Direction concert?
The first one. And
Yeah?
I would take my daughter if that was an option, because she used
Well,
to
there goes my
love
invite.
this-
That's what I was. I'm just kidding.
She loves, she used to love the Spice Girls. We just recently watched Spice World again, and it's a good movie.
Do you have it on DVD, or do you still have
I
a
think
VCR?
that I actually bought it for her on DVD.
Because I have the VHS somewhere, but no way to watch that.
I have a setup in my basement to convert VHS to DVD, so. Don't tell
Spice
anybody, 'cause
World,
I
coming
don't-
to my TV
I
soon.
think, it's a copyright infringement to distribute it, but for personal use, I think it's okay. So I have to say that. Or you could edit this whole thing out.
Yep, sorry, we've deleted it.
Just kidding, Spice World.
Tune in next week for
Corporation.
the final question. I said there were 3, but there's 4. So
Are you sure I haven't interrupted
lied.
everyone?
no, you're great. I was wondering that last one with One Direction. I was just picturing all of the screaming girls, but then I think the screaming girls would be just as loud at the Spice Girls, but older.
Yeah, they'd
so maybe
be-
a little lower pitched.
Yes. And I actually wouldn't mind seeing the Backstreet Boys. Is that who was opening for the Spice Girls?
I think there's a rumor that that's happening.
Yeah, I would.
And that is a concert I would pay any amount of money
I would love it.
to go to. But hopefully not too much
And
money.
I don't mean to put it all on my daughter. When she liked it, I started getting into the Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls. So even if she couldn't come, I'd probably go.
If you could be in a boy band that has been in existence, which one would you be in?
Does Metallica count?
Sure.
Then Metallica.
Great.
I guess.
Sweet.
I guess. I mean, that's what I
I mean, it is
wanted
a
when I
band
was-
of boys.
It is a band of boys. Well, yeah. So that's what I wanted when I was very young. They're pretty talented, but I could dance.
Talented. Nope, that was just bad.
No. I understand why these podcasts always go long.
I
Because
know.
I feel like the first part I was super, super boring.
No.
And then we broke through, and now it's a laugh a minute. Now it's a lot of fun.
Thanks. We'll just keep going for another hour.
Let's do it.
Final would you rather question.
Hold on. Are you sure I haven't interrupted everyone?
I don't know. What
I
did
keep asking. I'm looking at my
Would
phone
you-
because I'm afraid that I got in trouble for something I did over here.
Oh gosh, we're almost done. This is the final one. Would you rather
We're good.
find out that nothing has been streaming on the web? This isn't true, by the way. I
Oh
don't
my
think,
God,
for the
don't even
last
say that.
hour, or find out that this podcast, unedited, has been streaming on the web for the last hour.
I would rather find out that this podcast
Oh,
has been
yay.
streaming because I can see right now, you can't see in the camera, but I've got a screen right there that tells me there are 500 people watching the live stream right now. And so if it were black, they'd either be mad or they wouldn't be there, right? They would have given up long ago. But if I looked now and there were 500 people watching and I just found out this was streaming, then I would at least think that those people were semi-entertained by me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to discount you as a
No,
host. You're
no.
awesome. But as a guest, I feel like I didn't really get rolling early.
I think you were great. Everybody's so hard on themselves.
Well, it's because we don't know what podcasts are really supposed to
I know.
be, most of us.
Like to surprise you.
I listen to Chris Hardwick, like I said, and sometimes he'll talk for an hour and a half. And I can't imagine.
Are you entertained?
Generally, I'm entertained, and mostly I'm captive because I've started it, and I can't, while I'm driving, figure out how to sort of get in there and change it or fast forward it or anything. So
Yeah.
sort of a captive audience. I'm generally entertained, but I don't know how to be like the celebrities that he
You're
interviews.
great. You're a celebrity, and this was wonderful. Any final words?
Final words, I was going to talk about you.
What?
Jeez.
What did I do?
How long did you stretch this thing out? Till 1?
Unless
I
they
was
changed it.
I was going to tell you that I remember when you first started here, and you've come a long way.
Oh, thanks.
And do you remember how you felt when you first started and you were doing traffic?
At 5 in the morning.
Yeah. Because I remember that, and I remember thinking, I can tell she's a little bit nervous. And I thought at the time that it was you were nervous about being on camera.
Oh.
But I sort of realized later you were nervous about giving traffic info. And you
Well,
have
and also
no-
being on live TV in
Right,
a
but
new
you
city,
have
but
no problem with being on camera all the time.
for better or for worse.
Basically, your life is on camera all night even. You're like, my spaghetti's boiling over. I'm going to live stream it. But you've come a long way since then. And so
Thanks.
I remember thinking back then that I could tell you were nervous, but you picked it up right away. And then I realized how talented you were in front of the camera about 3 or 4 months later when I asked you to come out and do the e-recycling drive out front. And I was sort of afraid to go in front of the camera and talk about, I didn't know what to talk about. But we were live streaming it, so I just asked you to come out there and you grabbed the camera and just talked for 5 minutes. And it was one of the most entertaining things I had seen. It was definitely
thanks.
one of the most entertaining live streams I had set up.
Thanks.
Up to that point, and you just grabbed the microphone and went for it, and it was a lot of fun.
I remember being nervous for that though because there were so many like engineers and you standing around, and then you guys were like, just talk. Like, wait, you're all watching.
Well,
Normally I'm like either with one photog or like by myself in my room or in this little studio.
Well, you didn't look like you were nervous at all. You just made me think, wow, that is a talent right there.
Oh, thanks.
Nice work. And
I'll
now
talk
look
about
at you.
electronic recycling any day.
And now look at you.
I got a
You're
sweet Zach
anchoring.
Morris phone from there.
You deserve it.
It's great.
You totally deserve it. Yeah, you deserve your Kelly Kapowski moment.
Yes.
And now look at you. You're anchoring the 7.
I'm very excited.
So
But hopefully you won't watch it and go, she looks nervous.
you don't anymore.
Thanks.
I think I actually remember the first day you were on the air. I remember thinking I would be having an accident if I were thrown up.
Cool.
Never mind. I won't get more specific than that. I remember thinking I would be a lot more nervous than that, and you did a great job. And
I wish I had. That's one thing I regret is not recording or not keeping the clip of the first day doing traffic in the morning because it would probably be painful for me to watch, but I would love to have that.
it would be good to compare to where you are now, because
Well, and it's always fun just looking back and go, oh my goodness, what was I doing?
and there you have it. That's a little bit of Cassidy Quinn for you.
Well, thanks. Flipping the tables on me for a minute.
Yeah, I meant to do that much earlier. I
That's
waited
good.
until we were already almost out of time.
Only the really good listeners who stuck around got that little nugget of information.
Your mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Maybe my mom.
And Maggie's mom is apparently a good listener. So we love
Okay.
all the moms and everyone that's not a mom.
Yes, we do.
Thank you for being on the podcast with me.
It was my pleasure. I actually had a lot of fun.
Me too. And everything, I believe, continued to work. We got notes under the door. That was a first.
We have to see if it actually recorded because no one was back there to check on it. But man, if it did, I'm pretty happy.
Me too.
Happy Friday.
Thanks. Happy Friday.
Happy 11th
That
episode.
was a solid high five. I hope you could hear that in the audio. If you want to find the audio versions, you can search Station Break on iTunes and SoundCloud. The video version of this, so you can see Jeff's beautiful face and all the cool digital things he's been doing for the past rest of the podcast. You can go to kgw.com, see all the videos right there, and we will see you next Friday for another episode. I will see you, and Jeff will be making sure that it functions.
Yep, I'll do my best.
Thank you,
All right,
Jeff.
thank you, Cassidy.
Bye.
Bye now. Now play
Sweet.
the out cue music.